name is Nick Singer, and I'm the Executive Director at Oklahoma Progress Now. Behind us, we've got a number of folks, and I'll go ahead and set things up, and then we'll let them come up and say a few things. But I want to recognize Representative Andy Hugate is here, Anthony Douglas with the state NAACP, and then we have members of Voice, and they really did a lot to help educate me on this issue and did a lot of the pre-work really that went into this. So I'm coming to you today in my capacity as a nonprofit director. I'm also running for Oklahoma County Assessor. But I want to talk about, I'm concerned about the direction of our state, and specifically what happened in February of 2021. During Winter Storm Uri in February 2021, Oklahoma witnessed a massive explosion in natural gas prices over like a 3-day period. Our major utilities purchased more than $4.5 billion worth of natural gas in a few days, which is more than they do in a year. Instead of investigating price gouging, clawing back excessive profits, or demanding that utilities that were ill-prepared for winter weather pay for part of this burden, the government of Oklahoma passed that burden on to us in the form of securitization laws, which add additional fees to our utility bills for the next 25 plus years. So through a series of public records requests and candid conversations, Oklahoma Progress Now has obtained never-before-seen emails, text messages, and presentations showing how this happened and who was responsible. Our investigation has implicated folks at the highest levels of our government. They knew that price gouging, profiteering, and market manipulation were the real problems, but everyone jumped to how we're going to pay for it. Now, our piece is very long, and I recommend you grab a beverage or a snack before you dive into it, but at its core, it is about who our government works for. Every single office that passed the buck, blamed someone else, or stood by and did nothing has a charge in their founding documents to protect the public interest. This happened extremely fast. From the time of the storm, which happened around Valentine's Day, it was about 6 weeks until they signed the law securitizing all of this debt. As a personal aside, I've spent more time arguing with the city of Oklahoma City to bulldoze a dilapidated structure than our legislature and many levels of government spent figuring out how to securitize $4.5 billion worth of debt. We pay our utility bills every month expecting reliable, affordable power or gas when we want it or need it. That's the deal. And that deal changed dramatically because of this storm. And it comes down to a few companies wanted a boatload of profit. Nearly everybody involved in the energy and utility industry is well compensated. This isn't a charity. They get paid for this. But we need them to play by the rules, and when they mess up, and a $4.5 billion charge is a big mess up, they should pay for it. We have to demand that our government act for the people. I get told that this seems like Monday morning quarterbacking, but I believe the evidence shows that regulators are too cozy with utilities, that the Stitt administration personnel had way too much concern for corporate profits and almost zero for the average Oklahoman, and that the promised investigations and concerns raised, even by many Republicans, were never addressed or investigated. So I just want to talk real briefly about securitization. This is a bill that mostly came from states like Texas and Florida, and it was used after hurricanes to rebuild, billions of dollars in damage to infrastructure. That's not what happened here. All we did was buy a bunch of overpriced gas. Kevin Stitt came into office saying that he wanted to run Oklahoma like a business, but no business I've ever been a part of would just pay out like that. Kevin Stitt isn't running Oklahoma like a business, he's running it for a business. We need it to stop, and we are asking Oklahomans to check out our work and to make their own decision on November 8th.
I'm Representative Andy Hugate from Del City in Southeast Oklahoma City in House District 94. And I want to thank you all for being here today. This is an incredibly important issue for the people of Oklahoma, and the work that has been done by Voice, Nick, and several others to pull together what should have been an investigation that was done by the Attorney General's office. I've just got to applaud them for that. When I stepped onto the floor and we were looking at organization, I had my concerns at that time. As a matter of fact, I was worried more than anything else that an attorney general in the state of Oklahoma would not do their job as a consumer advocate for the people of Oklahoma. I proposed at that point amending the legislation to require the attorney general to go do his work. I was told we didn't need to have it done. My colleagues voted down that proposed amendment, and here we are today. We're looking at the taxpayer, the ratepayers in Oklahoma, effectively paying twice to those for the very same dollars that were profiteered from. And that's a problem. 25 plus years worth of payments people are looking at. We're already paying enough for utilities in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you all for being here.
Good morning. Anthony Douglas, State President for the State of Oklahoma, NAACP. I received a lot of calls from my constituents. I reviewed Nick's report. After reviewing the report, based on my constituents, they are concerned about how do they feed their children. The holiday season upon us, we can blame many reasons for the gas prices and other things that's happening in our state, but the most important thing is to say, how do we stay warm this winter? Who's going to pay that bill? What happens when they can't pay the bill? Some bills that they have received has been outrageous without any warning. Now we talk about transparency in the state of Oklahoma. Most of our constituents in this state cannot take off from their jobs. So they depend on the media and they depend on you guys to tell the truth. But to share knowledge with them that they can understand and not that it becomes an impact. Do they buy Christmas toys? Do they buy a Thanksgiving dinner this year? Or do they save the money to pay the electric bill? From the electric bill, the gas bill, we talk about the gas, but what about the home bills of feeding their children? If we don't feed the children, we're already seeing the grades are dropping in the state of Oklahoma. They're dropping because kids are hungry. Parents are now holding back on spending money to feed to buy things and feed their children, and it's impacting their education as well. So I applaud Nick and his committee for putting this report together. We have some work to do in Oklahoma. We all need to stand together to talk about transparency in our state of Oklahoma. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Eric Jurgensen, leader with Voice. Our organization put together a committee to look into this before the snow had even melted. We were concerned about the words we'd heard about these high prices coming, and sure enough, those concerns paid out. What we see in this event is not so much purchasing gas, but a massive wealth transfer between the population of Oklahoma as a whole and a few well-placed individuals. And all of this, the adults in the room did nothing to stop it. And we're very frustrated. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Maureen Harvey, and I'm also a leader with Voice. And I brought a copy of my OG&E bill, and I just want to point out that it says the winter event securitization, $5.19, and that's times per month for 28 years. And I also want to point out that the bills, the thing that we're being charged for, the gas that they bought at that time was 4,000 times the normal rate that they pay for gas. 4,000 times. And that was allowed to happen. And the other thing that concerns me is they said this was a once in a 100-year storm. And I personally believe we'll probably have another storm like this before this 28 years is out.
Hi there, my name is Tazim Al-Michael. I'm a community organizer and board member with Oklahoma Progress Now. I think there's something that we can all agree on, and it's that corruption is alive and well in the state of Oklahoma. We're talking about a state who we are being impacted by stagnant wages, inflation, and on top of which being passed on the bill by something our state should have solved, problems like climate change. And that this is an example that is directly impacting every single Oklahoman as well as their pockets. This is simply a way for the governor to funnel cash from everyday Oklahomans into the pockets of big businesses and corporations that have been held unaccounted for a very long time. I advise you to take a look at the candidates who are also running for Corporation Commissioner and see who and which companies have donated to their campaigns to let you know who exactly has been bought, either by the corporations or by the community.
Thank you. I'm Mike Reynolds. I served in the State House for 12 years. The emails, we now know that Corporation Commissioner Todd Hyatt and the OCC's former Public Utility Division Director, Brandy Reed, were in bed with utilities from the get-go, colluding with representatives to push through their securitization scheme, even manipulating the numbers so that they might get legislation passed at more speed. On May 1st, 2021, in an email from Reed to Hyatt, labeled confidential, he shares a PowerPoint presentation estimating the storm's cost. And it appears Mr. Reed cooked the books and attempted to manipulate these presentations to apparently deceive the legislature and the governor on the need for securitization.